Hi, my name is Stephen Murray, and this is The Knoll, an online gathering place for the people of Oak Knoll Lutheran Church and a place to share our community stories. We have such a beautiful sanctuary here at Oak Knoll. We're very proud of it, and we should be. But sometimes it's good to take a moment and remember that God can be found in places other than a church. In this week's episode, Devon Kantola Bosh does just that, traveling all the way to Montana and making some other wonderful discoveries along the way.
My first experience with Christikon wasn't great, my first year that I went, because I went there and I was sick. I had a ruptured eardrum when I went, as well as a double ear infection. And so it was not great, and I was pretty out of shape then, and so I didn't have a great experience with it the first time. The second time was coming around, and I realized that none of my friends were going to come with, which really put me back from the idea of going again. I was really worried about it. I didn't have fun last year with my friends there. Am I going to have fun this year without friends? And so I was really worried about it. And I got there, and it was slow introducing to my group. I kind of connected with these people that they're a group from Northfield, about an hour southish from us. And I connected with, it was a group of 4 girls. It was Mary, Mackenzie, Harper, and Edie. We headed out on trail the second day there, because we sleep in the base camp the first night, and then we head out on trail. We headed out on trail, and it was just a big realization for me, how much I loved doing it. Last year I had difficulties doing it, but I still loved it, even though it was tough. And I realized that I didn't need my friends there to enjoy it. And so it was our first day hiking on the trail, and we went up and we went through this place called Meat Rack Meadow, which is a bit of a funny name. That was our first campsite, and we stayed there for 2 nights. So we camped down, we set up, and we slept that night after having dinner and everything. And then the next day, we went on a day hike, which we did half of our route that we were going to do the next day when we were packing up and heading to our next campsite. So we went up there, and we went up to this ridge. On our third day of hiking, when we were going to be moving campsites, we were basically going up a basin, back down into the basin, up a basin, and then up the other side of the basin, and then back down the basin. It was going to be a big hike, so we got up one side of the basin on our day hike this day. And then we went back down, so we kind of knew what we were expecting for the next day. So the next day, we packed up, and we headed out, and we went up, and it's actually that side of the basin that we went up on the third day, the first side. It's the steepest route they have there. One of the steepest routes. It was basically you're going straight up. It was not very great. And so we get to the top, and we head back down in the basin, and it was beautiful. It's the best thing I've ever seen. It was there's a river, it was sunny out, there's trees, everything. It was amazing. We head down into the basin, and we meet up with another group that's doing the same trail, just backwards. That's the Northfield group, the girls that I became friends with. There was another Northfield group that was in that group that was coming towards us, and so I met more people from Northfield. And we all sat down, we had lunch together in the middle of the basin, and it was nice. I connected with a lot of people. I made so many great friendships. I still am connected with some of the girls that I met in Montana. We started heading up the other side of the basin, and then we started heading back down. And it was getting pretty late at that point, because lunch took a lot longer than we expected, because we were busy talking with other people. We hadn't seen anybody else for the past 2 days because we were hiking. So we start heading down the other side of the basin. We're looking for a spot to stop and do Bible study. And we see this little trail heading off of the main trail. And we go up that, and it's like a ridge, and you can see out, you see mountains and forests for miles. I've pictures of it. It's the best thing I've ever seen. I was just looking at it, and I'm just wow, this is crazy. And I go through doubts, I think everybody does, where it's things are not going great in life. Oh, this bad thing happened, I'm not doing great in school, whatever. And I went up to Christikon during one of these phases of doubts, and it reminded me about how God is there. And what I was thinking before is like, oh, this bad thing happened, whatever. And I'm praying, and I'm like, why isn't God doing anything about this? And then when I'm up there and I'm looking out on all this nature and everything, I'm realizing that God was there every step of it, every part of the way that I thought, why isn't he doing anything about this? Me praying to him is him being there. It just reminded me, God is there to love you when it doesn't feel like anyone else is there to love you. And that's kind of what Christikon reminds me of, is I go out there and I see all this nature and I'm like, this is what God made. This is God. And it just made me feel closer to him than I ever have felt. And it made me feel closer to the friends I made there. It was this crazy, surreal experience where it just clicked for me. And so we had our Bible study, and then we head back down to our second campsite. And the next day, it was still super snowy there because it's so high up, it's still so cold. The next day, we just took a rest day, and we kind of just sat there, and we enjoyed each other's company, and we enjoyed our great campsite. It was really nice. It was right next to a river. We did this nature spa thing we made up. We played little games, and we just relaxed, and it was a great rest day, and it just helped reinforce this feeling that I felt the day before.
The Knoll is a production of Oak Knoll Lutheran Church in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Pastor Jay Rudy, Senior Pastor. Music performed by Matt Serrar and produced by me, Stephen Murray. If you would like to learn more about Oak Knoll Lutheran Church, please visit us on the web at oklutheran.org or check out the live stream of our Sunday worship on YouTube every week at 9:30 Central. If you would like to share your story as part of the Knoll podcast, you can find information on how to get involved on our website. Thanks for listening, and God bless.